First, I just want to thank everybody for coming today. This is the first in-person entry planning session that I'm having. We already had two virtual ones, but this is the first one in person. Thank God we got some really nice weather. The weather's cooperating with us. But I'll give you a little bit of a background about myself. I'm Anthony Soto. I was born and raised in Holyoke, Providence Hospital there. I went to Kirkland School in kindergarten, and then Lawrence for elementary. I went to Peck, and then ultimately I graduated from Dean. And I've been working in the district for about almost 6 years, but for 5 of those years I was working as a CFO, and I was in charge of finance, food service, transportation, technology, and facilities management. And I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to become superintendent this July. And we've been in receivership for the last 5 years. And I think it's really important to look at our strategy. But before we develop a new strategy, it's important to get the voice of the community, the voice of our parents, the voice of our students. So I've been embarking on listening sessions since I started in July. I've been visiting schools. I've been meeting with students in small focus groups. I've gone to 5 different schools so far. I was at Morgan today, and I've been meeting with a small group of staff from each school, and just asking questions like, what is going well in Holyoke Public School? What would you like to see us do better in, and what would you like to see from me as your superintendent? I think it's really important to ask those questions in my first year and absorb all that in, gather all of that data so that we can develop a strategy for what the next 3 years could look like and where our focus should be. So again, I appreciate that all of you have come here today. You've come here today because you care. You care about your kids' education, and I really appreciate that. My family, like I said, I've been in Holyoke Public Schools for a long time, but I also grew up in Holyoke. My mom, she's been working for 35 years in that building right there, the Department of Transitional Assistance. She's a social worker there, helping a lot of our families that need support. She's also a foster mother. She's been, we had 200 foster kids come through our home, and we saw 120 of them graduate. Some of them unfortunately weren't able to graduate, but I've seen this system really support some of my foster brothers and sisters, and I've also seen this system fail some of our students. I have a brother myself, same family, same parents, same dad. He never even made it to high school. He dropped out of school when he was in 7th grade. And for me, I think the biggest game changer was not what was going on at home, but the connections I was making in school. I was making some really good connections. I had Mr. McGrath, I had Mrs. Lyons, Mr. Murphy. These are all real, genuine connections that I made in school that I felt if I wasn't doing good, that I was letting them down. And for some reason, I felt like they cared about me. Unfortunately, my brother had the same opportunities at home. He didn't make the same connections at school. And he just wasn't able to graduate. But enough about me. This is really about me having the opportunity to listen to all of you on what we need to do better, on what we're doing well, and what we need to build on. So I'd really like to just start off with, normally if we had a bigger group, we would break out into groups, but I think we're small enough where we could just have this session and everybody in the same group. So I'd like to start with, who's gonna be taking notes for us? Andres? So Andres is taking notes. We're not taking any names down. We're really just trying to receive input so that when we do develop a strategy, it's inclusive of your voice. So the first question is, what are the strengths and successes of our school district? ¿Cuáles son las fortalezas y los éxitos de nuestro distrito escolar? Ian's been itching to go. He wanted to talk to me privately before this meeting.
Want me to say something?
So, of course.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me that I've noticed since my kids started the same year you started, I think,
Yeah.
which was this first year receivership. Did you start the first year receivership or the second?
I was like in the middle of year one.
Yeah. So my kids started that year, and you know, I feel like when we were getting ready to send our kids to kindergarten, people kind of like laughed at us almost. You know what I mean? Like they kind of smirked, like Holyoke Public Schools. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's changed, and since then, now people they don't do that anymore. And I think just the perception in the city, and even outside the city, to some degree, I think has changed. And I think that's really important. I think it's really important because I think that that sets the tone right away for what you think about the school, how families interact with the school, deciding to go to the school. So that's the biggest thing I would say.
Do you think our reputation has improved a little since 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Great. Anyone else want to share?
I can't say enough about the Spanish English language program. I think that is so needed in this community. Like helps build bridges, and like I feel like it's so important for students to be learning together, struggling together through language gaps, and essentially eventually coming together through shared language. And I think that's been really amazing. Our daughter is in the dual language program. I think it's really amazing. I know I said amazingly 5 times, but it's amazing.
Yeah. What grade is she
She's in kindergarten.
She's in kindergarten now?
But she did the pre-K and now the kindergarten,
Okay. Anyone else? Hi.
Hi.
Anyone else want to share positives, strengths? Don't be shy.
I mean, I'm new here, but
Dual language program too?
Yeah.
My daughter, she's in pre-K. She just started.
And Ian White, right?
Yep,
Yep.
Ian White. She loves it.
She loves it.
Comes home with her homework and she keeps telling me things in Spanish, and I'm like, "What's that mean in English?" It's
I'm
great.
waiting for her.
learning.
She's already doing it. So
Wait
it's
till
only
she
been a
gets to
couple
4th
weeks.
and 5th grade and she
Oh,
starts
yeah.
asking you for help with her
Well, I
homework.
know just a tiny bit of Spanish, so I'm waiting for her to. She'll eventually pass me, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's already passed me.
¿Te gustaría comentar?
Bueno, pues que because when you
Si quiere hablar en español, puede hablar en español.
yeah,
However you feel comfortable.
yeah, because I want everyone on the same too.
Yeah.
So, you're talking about las fortalezas que tiene in my case is not having a good time with the system.
Okay.
So
You don't have any
I'm very-
strengths that you want to highlight. That's okay. So you-
I be in the system.
So I hope you got a lot to say when we get to
yeah,
areas that we need to work on, right?
Yeah, because I'm in the system for almost 8 years. So I know what is happening before, but I'm waiting for what you're going to do.
Well, that's why you're here, to express your ideas. Yeah. Anyone else want to share on strengths? Areas of success? Nothing yet? Oh, you're waiting for the next one, right? I can see her already. I'm gonna pick on you first. Why don't we move to that then? So, we had another strength. I'm sorry.
The teachers have
Yeah.
kind and welcoming, and the community in general has been very like inclusive and welcoming. So
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a strength.
Yeah, thank you. She said our teachers and the community in general has been pretty positive. I've done almost 10 of these listening sessions, and I heard, the communication is really strong. The teachers really care. So thank you for expressing that. So how about challenges and areas for growth within the district? Where do you think we should focus on as we develop our strategy, and what things do you think we need to improve on as a district?
So I'm not trying to discourage any of you guys. My daughter's in 5th grade. I would say she had a very good time through pre-K through 4th. Loved it. Once we got to middle school was where it started getting tough. My daughter doesn't tell me anything about no dual language, no Spanish being taught. She tells me mostly that teachers are quitting, telling them that they're quitting because they're not making enough money, they can't handle the children, which is something I'm a little annoyed with. I never dealt with that. So this is my first time ever speaking out to anybody. He's very familiar with me because I'm
Second time.
Yes, I'm very vocal on it. I spoke to Mildred, I spoke to Rebecca, so everybody mostly hears my mouth about it. I just want you guys to know, Holyoke schools have been just failing kids once they reach middle school, and it's not fair. I grew up where I felt I could talk to teachers, I could go to anybody and ask them for help. My daughter doesn't feel like that in her school. She feels like teachers, like she goes up to a teacher, she's gonna be asked why don't you understand this? And it shouldn't be like that. Kids are still learning, we're all still learning. So, I don't know. When she comes home to me with stuff, I can't even help her because I don't know what's going on. And there's a lot. I don't want to take anybody's spot because he knows I'm here mainly for this. I just want the Holyoke school to do better. Whoever's mayor, I just want them to do better, help Holyoke more when it comes to schools. They shouldn't stop the Spanish speaking. Once it hits a certain grade, all grades should learn how to speak Spanish. And it sucks that my daughter's in 5th grade and doesn't even know a lick of Spanish, and we're full Hispanic. So, and I'm hearing you guys talk, and I'm like, it sounds great. I wish I could say something positive, but I honestly can't, and it's sad because I've been living in Holyoke 28 years, raised my kids here, 2 of them, and, it just sucks. My daughter doesn't even want to go to school. Why does a 10-year-old doesn't want to go to school? And Holyoke just lacks a lot of stuff, and I know it's due to funding and us not voting on certain things, but it's also because we're not told what's being voted on. They're just telling us to vote, but not explaining what it is we're voting for. So how are we gonna sit there and say, yeah, we're gonna vote for this, but we don't know what the outcome of that's gonna be? I like to make sure my daughter is always okay. She has something to feel to. Also with the Holyoke High issue, I don't know if any of you guys heard about that. That's something that really bothered me also. I feel like the students should always be protected. And I feel like Holyoke, like I said, is lacking that extremely right now. And Holyoke does not have a great reputation. And honestly, I'm a little embarrassed because I love my city. And for others to sit here and judge us because us as parents don't know what's going on in our kids' school because nobody's telling us, it sucks. Holyoke High covers up a lot of stuff that's going on there, which is extremely sad. I went there for 4 years, I never dealt with anything that these poor kids are going through, and they got locked out of school. I don't know if you guys knew about that. The teachers locked them out, and a lot of people were threatening these people who did that protest, and I felt like that was wrong. We should speak out. We should protect our kids because what if that, not only saying it's only towards Hispanic, but what if it's all towards everybody's kids? Why should more Hispanic kids feel the need that they can't really come out to more people because they're going to feel judged of who they are? Think about if that's your kid being raped, harassed, or being told they can't ask something, or, just that's the way I see it. All students should always feel comfortable, and we should just work more as a community, have more people come out, because this is sad. Nobody's here. And I shared this on Facebook for legit a week, and nobody's here. And it's sad that Holyoke is lacking our community together. It's a lot of Hispanics here, and we're not doing nothing. We're just sitting around and being okay with it, and that's not fair.
So in response to the student protest, there is no, by no means is any student going to get penalized for demonstrating. We are happy that students elevated their voice. We provided staff so that they can do it safely. We allowed them to protest up until 12:30. We welcomed everybody to come back to class, and if 12:30 after 12:30, we asked that they come back the following week. And some students wanted to be out there longer, which was their right. But I have heard a lot of things in the press that weren't true, like students weren't going to be allowed to play in sports or that they were going to be suspended or disciplined. None of that is true. And anybody wishing to hear what our statement is on that, I provided it publicly to the media on Friday, and it's available there. We're here to support our students. We take allegations really seriously. This particular incident, the police were notified right away. This notion that we're trying to cover something up is just it's not true. This is a sensitive issue that involves minors, and the police are investigating, and they were notified right away. And we have to respect the privacy of those individuals. We can't. I get that natural instinct. When something happens, I want to know what's going on. In this case, federal law prohibits us from sharing any details. So we, out of respect for those individuals that are involved. But we have counseling supports. We've offered listening sessions for our students at Holyoke High in the morning, and we've offered listening sessions after school. We had 3 students show up. Unfortunately, I wish there were more, because there were a lot of things that students were saying out there that I wish we would have the right the support in place. I have reached out to a community organization called Alianza in Holyoke. They're the old Women Compañeras or Mujeres Compañeras organization, and we are going to partner with them to create a community event and a safe place in the community for us to have conversations, not about that incident, but about things that were discussed and things that students had mentioned in their protest. It's important that students know, we have staff available. If they want to talk about anything, they can. If they don't feel comfortable talking to staff, they can always talk to these outside organizations that we're going to partner with. So I will be letting everyone know and letting the community know when we develop that partnership and when we schedule meetings in the community. Because some of the things that were said were really, some students were expressing things that had happened in the community, like not necessarily out of school or anything like that. But I appreciate your concern. Can you be more specific about your experiences at Veritas?
Yes, that's
you're
what I was
saying
going to ask you.
you're saying that we're like HPS is failing your daughter.
Yes.
I hear that you mentioned that teachers quitting.
Both for teachers.
So teacher turnover is
Yes.
a real problem.
Yes, at Veritas.
What else?
That teachers just telling too much information when it comes to that. That's just something.
Yep.
I understand sharing, but sharing overly, that's for 10-year-old is just too much. My daughter
Sharing
just
about what their own personal like finances and stuff like
yes,
that.
my daughter should tell me we spoke in the park how much the teachers are making a year. Just Veritas I feel like is just kind of sinking. It's not academically where it should be compared to Peck. Because what I hear, Peck has better academics, and Peck is in the same building. But Veritas is having teachers quit left and right, telling students why they're quitting. And then on top of that, now my daughter's just here telling me, oh, now I'm going to have substitute teachers. That's not going to teach my daughter absolutely nothing. That's just going to make her feel like it's a new day every day, where we're not going to do nothing. And there's no type of academic for her to come home to. She doesn't even come home with homework still. And about the COVID, I feel like that was my biggest concern too. I found out that there was a whole basketball team of kids in the school that play basketball outside that ended up having COVID, and they still ended up going to school and made other kids have positive cases. And they sent home a letter to us stating that the kids still need to go to school, positive or not positive. And that is a big thing to me, because why should our kids be suffering to get COVID and then come home to people like me who have newborn children and then God forbid my youngest daughter gets COVID because my oldest had to go to school.
Yeah.
I feel like if kids have COVID or positive, or even in the process of waiting for COVID, wait for your results, whether it's positive or negative. Just wait. And if it's positive, why can't the kids stay home and do the academic learning online until they can go back? It would make much more sense. They gave us laptops while we were in the whole pandemic, so they can't complain that there's no laptops.
Yeah. So I do want to comment on that because you mentioned something that is not supposed to be happening. Okay. So if a student is positive, they are not allowed to be in the school.
Okay.
They go home.
We got the letter saying that they wouldn't even stay home. They have to go back.
No, so the way it works is we have a testing protocol that's available in our school, and a lot of districts are in line trying to get this testing protocol in place. We've been doing it since the beginning of the school year. We have a pooled testing program where if you sign up, if first of all, you have to be identified as a close contact, and the CDC has real clear, specific guidelines on what a close contact is. It's if you were within 3 feet of an individual for 15 consecutive minutes over the period of 24 hours. So if your child was not told to quarantine or to get tested, that means they weren't identified as a close contact, and they can come to school.
Even if they're on the same basketball team, touching the same ball, smacking it around, coughing.
If they weren't identified, now I could tell you one thing: that we're only as good as the information we get. Our nurses can only go based on the information they get from the student. So if we ask you, who were you next to within the last 24 hours for greater than 15 minutes, and they say this person, and that person, those are close contacts. But if they don't tell us that there were other close contacts, there's no way for us to know.
Of course, but these are 10-year-old kids. They're not gonna tell me. I have to ask.
But we can't just assume everybody. Like, that's not the def.
But
no,
even
no
then,
one will
they
be
shouldn't
there.
even be sending them. Wait till you get
So
an exact result.
Let me finish So once we identify you as a close contact, you have the option we have rapid tests available every day, every morning. You can come into school and get rapid tested. As long as you produce a negative test, you can stay in school.
But I feel like rapid tests aren't really positive. There's no way you can get an actual result within 15 minutes. I've done it, and they said my youngest had COVID while me and my oldest were both sick. So that just didn't make sense to me. So the rapid, I feel like, doesn't work. It might work for others, other people might feel confident with that, but I personally would like to get a double opinion on it.
That's your personal, and then the other option is to quarantine your child. If you don't feel safe with the rapid test program that we have, you can keep your child at home and do a PCR test.
Be against her?
It'll be against her attendance, but we'll work with her. We'll work with the teacher. We're asking everyone, if you're sick, stay home. That's part of our safety protocols.
Yes.
That is part of one of the biggest parts of our safety protocols is when you're sick, stay home. We're telling our staff to do it. We're telling our families to do it. So yes, we get it. Attendance is not going to be as good as it's been in the past, because even if you have the flu and you don't have COVID, we're asking you to just stay home and be responsible and go get tested.
Yeah.
But if a kid is symptomatic and was a close contact, they're not allowed to be in the school. Okay. So I just want to make sure, because you said we're letting kids that tested positive stay in school, and I want to let everyone know that is not the case. Kids that test positive are not to be in school. They have to follow our quarantine protocols. The only ones that can stay in school is if you're asymptomatic and you're a part of the regular testing, and if you haven't been identified as a close contact. These are DESE. Yes, these are all DESE guidelines. The CDC and DESE release guidance together. I would say that CDC's guidance is a little more strict than DESE's guidance, but we recognize what our kids went through last year with the remote learning and what our staff went through across the nation. It was very harmful to our students. So we're doing everything we can to keep our students in person. Now, I will say that testing program that I just talked about, only 9% of our families signed up for it. And that is a shame. Like, I want to encourage all of our families to sign up for this program. It's a safety. Every week we could randomly just take a pool of students and test them as just a precaution, like just to make sure, because some people are asymptomatic and they don't know they have COVID. And if you're a part of this program, you get random testing, either on Tuesday or Thursday, depending on what school you're at. And then they put you in a pool. And then if somebody in the pool tests positive, then we know, okay, these 10 individuals we have to get testing. And then if you are identified as a close contact, you could stay in school if you're asymptomatic and you're getting rapid tests. So it's a way to keep kids in school, and another way to prevent spread and keep kids safe. And we've had it available all year, and only 9% of our students have signed up. And only, even worse than that, 17% of our staff have signed up for that. And that is something that I'm really hoping to change. It's a great program that we have that keeps kids in school and that helps prevent spread.
If our kids are too young to get the vaccination, why would DESE's guidelines not be as strict as the CDC?
Because the CDC is national, right? So they're looking at how bad it might be in Florida, right? Massachusetts, their vaccination rates are pretty high compared to the rest of the country. So DESE, DESE's not looking at holistically how bad it is in Florida or how bad it is in North Carolina. They're looking at, like, look, if we follow these protocols, you have clean air, you have air purifiers, which thankfully the last mayor invested over $1 million getting a industrial size like air purifier, air scrubber in every single one of our classrooms. We've invested in windows. We've done a lot of ventilation upgrades, which is, when this first came out, we thought like, oh, touching this, you're gonna get it, and the science has proven that it's really the air purification that's going to help stop the spread. Being outside and then making sure that your classrooms are regularly refreshed. Not so much like, oh, this person touched that and now I touched it, I got COVID. That was like when we didn't know much about COVID. That was like where everybody's focus was.
Veritas don't even open their windows. My daughter told me it's hot in there. I have to buy her a little fan for her desk. That's how hot it is in her classroom.
There is a wing at Veritas on the 3rd floor, and there's 14 classrooms where I know we don't have AC. I'm hoping that it's not just buying air conditioners. It's a whole electrical upgrade that needs to happen. But although we plan on replacing that school building, I'm hoping to address that in this year before the summer comes. I want to get, even if it's really, really costly, I want to make sure we do what we can to upgrade those 14 classrooms. So across the district, we have ACs. Veritas, 14 classrooms we don't. At McMahon, we have 2 kindergarten classrooms that don't, but we're going to get them the same electrical upgrade. We're going to fix that in April. And then we'll have, air conditioning throughout our whole district. Where there's kids, there's some pull-out classrooms that don't have it. Especially in Peck, the interior classrooms that don't have windows. We don't have kids in there all day. That we pull kids out there. All right. Other challenges and areas for growth.
I have a lot of concern here.
Yep.
Because first of all, the first thing you're talking about the thing happened in the Polio High. I know you are the superintendent, but I think you don't have the school don't have a lot of communication with you because sometimes maybe they say something to you, but they say something to us because you're talking about the girls, the boys who was in the protest. They sent us some kind of a letter telling us tomorrow they going to be. I hear some rumors about the protest. The kids who go, they going to be on excuses. They going to do, something about.
They're gonna be marked absent. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and on excuses, and um, about the thing that happened in Holyoke.
But they're not gonna be disciplined. So there's no discipline that's gonna happen.
So in the case of the Holyoke, they told anything, nothing, and I know you say it's a minor involved and everything, but I was think I don't need to find out what happened in the school or my kids in the news because if I do some kind of search, put Holyoke and that appear, they happen a few days before and they don't say something happened, something nothing, and I know about the protest because I was there. So that day, I go there. I spoke with the girls over there, and I spoke with her, and we talking, and me like parents, I don't feel like safety with one police in the school because it's just only one, and I'm worried about what is going on, because I'm like a father. I don't want find out something happened for the news. I would like to be more communicate because if you can communicate like the letter I received, oh, that's a rumor, some kind of thing. Why you don't tell me what's happened in the school? What is you doing? And something happened.
We can't tell you what. In this
No.
case, we can't tell you what happened.
But in the case, sometimes we're talking about the security. Sometimes in the school, this random fight in the school, the kids have phones, they record it, and they put in social media, and we saw it. So, what the school and the
Those students are held accountable. So we have a code of conduct for students
yeah, but
and a social media policy.
the thing I'm concerned is the thing if the el director, ¿cómo se dice director en inglés?
Director,
El principal.
the principal.
Uh-huh. So they, when that thing happened and we saw the videos, we saw everything, they don't contact us. They only take every student on the school and they have a meeting with them. They prohibit they don't okay, the specific word they say is you can record her because if you record her, you're going to put in social media, your parents is going to find out and they're going to come with us to fight about the security. That's not something that's supposed to happen, You need to be more, open with the parents. So I'm very concerned about that.
So you think that when there is an incident not involving your child, that we should notify you still?
Because
Okay.
if something happened like security, because if something happened to another kid, maybe it could happen to my kids. And in some school like Holyoke High, I saw only one police for a lot of kids.
You think we should have more police in the high school?
Yeah, because it's not only the thing you're talking about, the minor involved, but the fight will happen in the school. They drug in the school. They do like vaping and something. They sell in the school. They do a lot in the school, but the principal or anyone to let us know. I know because I talked with kids that day because I was there. So I care about that. I care, like the drugs thing that happened in the school, and I very concerned about the sexuality um, education they given to the kids because maybe a lot of things that happen is because they talk a lot about things people or kids don't need to know. You know what?
You're referring to the ethnic studies class that
Yeah,
your daughter was in?
and it's not only that. It's a lot of something happened in the school. Okay, why the some kind of private thing like your orientation you need to share with the kids 13, 12, 14. I know about one professor who speak about we talking about he say he's bisexual and everything, but another professor talk when it's a sustituto.
Substitute.
Yeah, it's a teacher sustituto. He go to the class and say, yes, my name is this, and I'm homosexual, and my pronouns is this and that. That's not a thing. People or kids who is 12, 13, and a lot more stuff. It's not only thing.
So you think in an effort for us to be inclusive of the LGBT community that maybe some teachers are taking it too far is what it sounds like?
Yeah, because well, it's my opinion.
That's your, yes.
It's my opinion because I'm the one who talks.
Yeah.
It's
we also want to make sure
I don't have
all students feel included, even if whatever their sexual orientation is. They're welcome in Holyoke Public Schools.
Yeah, I know, and I don't have any problem with people who are of that community, but you inclusive this person, but that you excluded the person who are not part of that community. That's the only thing I care. And if you're going to teach my kids about sexual education, I would like to be part. When you do los puntos que van a tocar, you can talk with us, and we can discuss. Because if I come,
have you reached out to that teacher?
What teacher?
The one that you said was making your daughter feel uncomfortable with what she was teaching?
The substitute.
It was a substitute? Okay.
So, in this case, I will like, because if I go to the school, I happened me that before. It's before you. I was in the school because I care about the sexuality you teaching to my daughter.
Yeah.
So I go to school and ask for what you teach my daughter in this class. They don't give me anything like a book, what book they teach. No, they give me a list like with the topic they teaching, and that's it. Don't tell me any more, And if you're going to teach this thing like sexuality to a kid who is in the puberty and is a lot of things going on, you need to be careful, because something like that thing happened in the school, in another school they manifest, because what I know about the sexuality, they say is that the sexuality
is when you touch yourself or somebody, is very grateful, and that's not a thing to teach the people or kids in the school.
Anyone else want to share challenges, areas for growth?
You can go ahead.
And then I'll go to you, then you.
Okay. I guess just transitions in general.
Transitions?
Like too many, like in terms of teacher turnover that got brought up already, programming, just changes. I feel like things are always changing.
Yeah.
And I get that we're trying to change for the better, and that's good. But like, for example, my 4th grade daughter she's in the dual language program at Metcalf. She had 2 new teachers in 2nd grade. 1 left during the year. She had a new teacher in 3rd grade. That teacher left during the year. She got a new teacher this year in 4th grade. And that's just her regular teachers, not even counting like special teachers, counselors. It's just like too much changing. So it's like there's no.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's enough stability to have a good school. When it's not, when you don't have it with anything, it's just too much change is not good. So I get that you can't make teachers stay. I mean, if a teacher quits, they quit. Some teachers probably should have gone, and that's okay. But some teachers have also moved out of their jobs to other jobs in the district, and I'm questioning if that was the right move overall. I get that there's positions opening up, but it's like the consistency of the teaching staff.
Yeah. It's a real problem.
It makes me uncomfortable.
I mean, we get over 100 new teachers every year out of. It's like almost a quarter of our teacher workforce. Yeah, retention is a real problem that we're really looking into right now. This year in particular, I think this year our retention has been better than it's ever been in terms of people staying. But we have more vacancies now because of what you said. We created academic intervention teachers. We created counseling positions. We created coaches that didn't exist. And we created deans of management and ops. And those, for some teachers, those were advancements in their career that they took advantage of. But retention continues to be a problem in Holyoke. It's a big problem.
Yes. So just to, I think I understood what she was saying. She was talking about that there's a lack. In other words, there's a lack of communication from the school to the parents. And there's a lot
about what they're teaching.
About what they're teaching, about what's going on in the school. So, like, even though what happened to that student that was unfortunate happened to that student, I still believe if one of my kids goes to that school, I would expect to be informed by the school instead of the news. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Like, even if it's not my child that went through it, I still believe that because I have a student in that school, that I should be called or something. Something can happen. I mean, we're in 2021. There should be like an automatic phone call, if anything, because I know there's a lot of parents. I know there's a solution, and that's what we're asking. We're asking for more consideration. We're asking to be more informed as parents. There's a lot of things going on that if, honestly, I didn't have a healthy communication with my kids, I wouldn't have known half of the things. And there's a lot of parents that work full time. There's a lot of parents that it's really hard for them to sit with their kids and communicate. I still believe every parent's responsibility is to communicate with their kids, but it's harder for some parents, versus others.
Yeah.
And so I think that the school can be very helpful by at least informing parents and keeping them up to date in regards to things like that, because what happened in Holyoke High, I can tell you personally, that's not the only place where that's happening. And my kids are all in elementary. So I agree with her. I'm with her on that. I feel like the schools have become harder for parents to be involved, in my experience. So I had questions. I have them written down.
I don't want to take, like she said earlier, I don't want to take other people's opportunity to speak up, but I wanted to know, do parents have access to the curriculum?
Yeah, parents have access to their teacher, and any questions that they ask their teacher should be
So
met
when
with a response. Have you, like,
So
did
when
you
I
go
mean-
to open house for your
when-
school and
when
talk
I
to your
mean-
teachers?
Yeah, but when I mean curriculum, I mean like, would parents have the right to know what the plan is for the year in regards to education? What classes is our kids gonna take? Are there things there that will probably affect certain types of families?
Yeah.
Do we have a right to know beforehand?
Every
before our kids go
school,
to school?
every school has a family engagement coordinator assigned to their school. Do you know who yours is?
Honestly, since the last school year, I called my school, my kids' school. I spoke in the office. I called the school department. I think I spoke to your
Okay.
secretary.
See that guy over there, Izzy Rivera?
Okay.
After this meeting, talk to him, and he'll let you know.
Sullivan.
Oh, so they have a new family engagement coordinator. I just started, I'll be honest. Well, she just came from Puerto Rico. She's a brand new coordinator. The person before I can't speak for because I don't know them up. But at the end of this, I can take your information down and I make sure that we have communication.
That should be your, so like, that's the
That goes for everybody
the
else.
person that is the liaison to the school. Obviously, you have the principal. There's other administrators in the building, but like, these are some really good questions that I would love for our family engagement team to be able to help support and guide and make sure that you get the answers that you want in terms of what you want to see. Make the connection with the teachers. If you're not getting what you want, like,
No, I'm not, because I don't mean to interrupt, but
no, that's okay.
since the last school year, I've been asking, I've been calling, I've even called the school department. I've spoken, I think, to your secretary. I don't remember if her name is Sam. Sam. She's really nice and everything, but there was a lot of questions that I had that I thought would be like answer, like that there would be an answer for, and unfortunately, I didn't get answers. I spoke to the school, and the school was like, "Oh, you have to connect with the school department." So they had me like back and forth, and then summer came, and then I didn't get to find out who my kids' teachers were like until like the day before school, which I also find that very irresponsible, unprofessional, because back in the day when I was growing up, my mom used to know who the teacher was gonna be.
What grade is your?
So I have a kinder, a second grader, and a fifth grader. And there's a lot of things that are, like, for me, they're off. And it's like, how can we, the parents, be there for our kids if we're not getting the information that we need to help them succeed?
Okay.
So
in terms of areas of growth, you're saying the communication between the parent and the
there's
school
a lack,
is an area that we need to work on.
huge lack of
Okay.
of communication. I've always wanted to know beforehand what our kids are going to be learning, what subjects are they going to get, would it be something that will make them uncomfortable. I mean, no offense to anybody here, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I respect and I love everybody. That's the way that I was raised. But we have beliefs, and I'm not saying for the school that the school is supposed to be a place for like religious belief. Let's say that, right? From my understanding, the school is supposed to be a neutral place for all kids to feel welcome. That was my understanding. I think that the logo that you guys have is a pathway for every student. But with everything that's going on, I've been feeling in my kids, especially my oldest daughter, they don't feel part of what's going on in school. They feel left out. There's a lot of things that and I'm not the only parent, there's a lot of parents that I know that they were going to make it, but they didn't make it, unfortunately. That there's been times where they even have to pull out their kids for the day. So that's like a day that they miss from school. I didn't take my education all the way serious, and I regret it, but I'm making sure my kids don't make my mistakes. But it's really hard because if for certain decisions that schools are making, they're forcing me and they're forcing other parents to even pull them out for the day. That's a day less that they get of not learning anything. Because I can do stuff with them at home, but it's not the same thing. They're gonna be backed up. All because certain schools are making decisions that have nothing to do with math, nothing to do with social studies, nothing to do with science, nothing to do with subjects that are gonna get them a diploma one day, that are gonna get them into college, that are gonna get them their dream job, their dream home. None of these decisions that the schools are making are gonna help them. It's actually not helping them because, for example, my daughter talks to me a lot and she feels uncomfortable with a couple of things that are happening, and we're only in the beginning of the school year. So it's pretty scary, in my opinion, as a parent.
And you haven't been able to connect with anyone at the school?
I have.
Who?
I have spoken to the principal. She's a great person, Mrs. Garcia Mayu.
Yeah.
She's awesome. But again, when I go down with these questions, they send me to the school department because the school department is the place that creates the curriculum for the year. Basically, that's what they tell me. So then I call the school department, and it's a back and forth, and I don't have.
So you have questions on curriculum?
I definitely have questions on curriculum.
We'll make sure that that we connect you with the right person to talk about curriculum.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I don't want to take one more time, but I do have one more question. I wanted to know, are the Holyoke Public Schools giving out surveys to students without parent permission or with parent permission, like surveys?
We are. Yeah, we do our panorama survey usually in February.
What is that?
It's a school and climate and culture survey that we've been doing for the last 5 years. We send it to families, we send it to staff, and we send it to students.
So when what I mean by like surveys, do you guys do like the DEI, which means enhancing diversity, equity, and inclusion? Do you guys do stuff like that in the schools?
That's not a survey that I'm familiar with.
What about because these are questions I've had and I've been dying to ask.
We do we use Panorama as a platform. We do surveys once a year to really test culture. Like we want to know from families, is the communication good?
But
there's a bunch of questions. There's emotional questions in there. We can send you the survey from last year and the results of that survey too, if you'd like that. Anyone else want to share challenges or areas for growth?
Yeah, I want to agree also that communication is definitely an issue. I feel like last year there were several times that things were happening at the elementary school that we'd find out after the fact. And like sometimes there would be an email that came out, and sometimes there would be something on Facebook, and sometimes it would be through Class Dojo, which like I can't get to work on my phone, so if messages are coming through Class Dojo, I'm not getting them, And it would just be great if it was all like centralized, and just like this woman over here said that she didn't know what the pooled testing was, and I feel like that's a failure in communication.
Yeah.
That everyone should know what the pooled testing is.
What's the best way to communicate? So we do text, email, social media.
I have gotten no
calls.
texts. I get the emails, but I don't always.
If you're not
there
getting
isn't
text,
always an email.
If you're not getting text, then that means we don't have your phone number listed in SchoolBrains, because we have a student information system, and the communication system we use is called Blackboard Connect. And whenever we send a message, it goes text, email, phone.
There were several things that did
media.
not come. I check my email regularly, and there were several things last year that never came through email.
Okay, so I would connect with the office manager at your school and make sure that all your contact information is up to date in SchoolBrains, because that's our method of communication. Is call, text, email, social media. But it has to be in our system as the primary contact for the student. That would be unacceptable. Like I just listed 4 ways that we communicate, and if you're not getting either one of those, then something's wrong.
Yeah, so every time I talk to the principal about not getting communication, they tell me to get on Class Dojo, and I can't get the dojo to work. Like, so my child's other mother has the Class Dojo on her phone, and so we sometimes get that, but like I just don't get any of the emails.
Through Class Dojo?
She gets communication through Dojo. I get emails, but not everything that happens gets emailed.
Okay.
Yeah.
What types of things are...
So last year there was this whole like moving up ceremony for like the
Okay.
pre-K into kindergarten, and I never found out about it until the photos were on Facebook the next day. But that's not the only thing. There were like messages that were sent through Dojo that I
you
heard from another
other parents?
yeah, that I never got. Yeah. I did want to like kind of circle back to another idea. I know that like we've been in the middle of a pandemic, but the like amount of curriculum that is all like coming from screens at the elementary school has really been bothering me, and I think that part of the problem is the shift back from the pandemic is having some like people are having some residual beliefs such as like germs on things. Like my daughter's not allowed to look at books from the library, not even take books out, just like look at them. They go to the library and they are allowed to like sit and listen to a story, and then they can't touch anything. They can't share toys in the classroom. They're not allowed to do centers, which like all the studies show that early childhood education, like the best is through like interaction with their peers and play, and they're like just at their desks watching a screen most of the time whenever there's downtime. Worksheets,
Yeah, it's
that's my other big area of
I hear you. That's I'm not making an excuse, but that is one of the safety protocols that the Board of Health, wanted us to implement. Like any of those shared spaces where you have.
But it's not true in other districts.
Multiple, like a library, like kids sharing the book, sneezing on it, like it's. I hear you.
Northampton and South Hadley both allow the children to use centers and look at books and have shared toys. So I mean.
I hear you.
Their COVID cases are a lot lower. That's why FOIA numbers are much higher. So our Board of Health actually implements more safeguards. So it's just one of the reasons we can't be compared to other communities. We're different in a lot of ways. So
yeah, but it's too bad that it means like kids are kind of missing out, like
absolutely,
in the more disadvantaged schools are missing out in that way.
But, we have to be mindful and try to keep everybody safe. We live in a community that's had really high numbers, and it's sad that the kids are going through everything that they've been going through, but at the same time, we're trying to do everything to keep them safe and keep them healthy as well as their families.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that, like the higher our vaccination rates get in Holyoke, the easier it would be to lift a lot of those restrictions. There's unfortunately a lot of information out there that makes people hesitant to get vaccinated, and I respect everyone's opinion, and everybody has the right to believe whatever they want to believe, but if we're gonna get out of this pandemic, we gotta everybody has to own a part in it, and right now our vaccination rates are really low in Holyoke in comparison to the rest of the state and the rest of the country, and it's unfortunate. I talked about that pool testing and test and stay program that we have, and only 9% of our that blows my mind that only 9% of our families have signed up for that. Where other communities are like dying to get that program. They're like, I can't wait to have that program in our schools because it's just another safety measure. Anyone else like to share areas of growth?
I just wanted to add on to the communication. Thinking maybe what about if you, on your public school website, if you put a link to the school, to all the information that you send out in an email, a link that in case parents miss something, we can go to the school page, we can click on a link and see all the updates, like the day they came out.
Yeah.
Kind of like an archive.
So important family within the school's website, not the HPS website, right?
Right. Yeah. Either.
Because each school has their own communications.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Ian White and stuff. Like, so if you go on their website and they can be like, you know, you can check every Monday. Like these are communications over the weekend. You know, every day you can check and see any communications, just in case. Like, so for her instance, she doesn't get any communications on certain things. Yeah. And then parents that don't have access to certain types of communication, they can go on there and see everything.
I'm one of the HPS staff members, but I'm here as a mom. I'm here because
What's your name again?
Esther Villolas.
Esther Villolas?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
And one of the things that, I'm sorry, honey, I don't know what your name is.
Lexi.
I do agree with her because my daughter also goes to Verita. And since last year, I know all of our kids struggle remote. That's absolutely 100% sure. But I have to find out that my daughter is failing by my own daughter's testimony in communication. I have tried to reach out to Verita every single time I can. I get voicemails. I don't get response back. I even have the teachers email. Of course, I have HPS access, so I'd be like communicating, no response back. I don't even know. I couldn't go to open house because they did it in a time where, of course, I have my pre-K class and I can't, leave to go to an open house. So I wasn't able to meet teachers, and so I asked them, I need information. I need to know why is my daughter failing. She took a whole semester and she came out with F's. Now she's a little bit more forward, but it's not where she should be. And every time she has to come home upset, oh, the teacher did this and they put me this, and I'm like, I can't get communication. I send a text, I talk to the secretary in the front. Unfortunately, because of transportation, I can't get to the school, but I have tried every source of communication through email, phone numbers. I have even asked my co-workers, hey, can you, because I have co-workers that have Verita kids. Oh yeah, I'll try, and nothing. Yeah. And it's frustrating that I have to see a girl who used to be so successful in Morgan go into a middle school and fail, like if she never succeed. And it's frustrating where I can't get a sit down with a teacher and say, I want to know, why is my daughter failing? Why is she coming home upset with her homework?
Do you mind emailing me tomorrow or tonight? It's asoto@hps. There's no excuse for you not being able to connect with somebody at the school, and we need to get you in contact with somebody.
Yeah, so. I really appreciate it because it's frustrating that I
So I'm hearing that at Sullivan. I'm hearing that at Veritas. Is that an issue?
But Veritas don't have like I said, my daughter don't even have teachers right now. So it's like I don't even have nobody to get in contact with.
Veritas just lost two of their teachers.
3, my niece's teacher quit too. So, it's just like that. I wish I could sit there and I could go to the school every day and be like, okay, well, I'm Lexi, Zyda's mom. They'll probably hate me from how much they see me, but they'll know me. And then they'll be like, oh, well, I could talk to Zyda's mom because I see her all the time. Yeah. I can't do that right now with Veritas.
I didn't see you at the DPAC meeting, though. You told me you were going to join DPAC.
You never text me nothing. I gotta wait. I'm home. I'm right there. Not even a block away.
I don't know about that one. So I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We have like 3 minutes. I'll be here as long as you guys need me to be here. But if there's anyone that had planned on leaving at 6:15 and hasn't been able to speak, please do it now. Yeah.
With reference to everything and everyone's opinions, how can you guys guarantee our children's safety when there's so much negligence in the school? Like, how can you increase security? Like, there's, my children have 2, 3 teachers, well, the little ones, 3
Yeah.
But still, there's things going on.
What school?
Like, my children, two of them one goes to Kelly and two of them are in Veredas. But I'm just saying, with so much going on, just not that particular school.
And has your child been unsafe in any instant?
Not any of my children, but I know close friends that do have children in the local schools that have gone through situations where I feel like right now that's a major concern.
Yeah.
Not just with my close friends, but just with the things that we see in general. Like we need to make sure that when our children are going to school, they're technically their responsibility. That you know, it's like she was saying, teachers are quitting left and right. How do we know that?
Yeah, I mean, because teachers are quitting doesn't mean your kids are alone. We hired academic intervention teachers. We hired other counselors.
But there is a lack of stability in the school
There is a lack of
system.
stability. I get that. In pockets, it's not in every school. So some schools have more success than others retaining their staff. Veritas
is it due to funding though?
It's not due to funding, no.
Okay. It's just people are just.
It's not a funding issue. This is like, unfortunately, our teachers went through a lot. Not our teachers. Teachers across the nation went through a lot. And there's some people that are really rethinking education. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'd rather do a different job.
And it's because I told you these kids are sorry to interrupt you. Some of these kids are very misbehaved, and they're still in the school. And like I write on Facebook consistently, it was due to Holyoke closing down HAP. If Holyoke never closed down HAP, all those misbehaved kids could go there and then do whatever they do there. They want to quit life, that's up to them. But that shouldn't stop the other kids that actually want to succeed. Because I don't want to see my daughter, like your brother, drop out at 7th grade. That's not a goal of mine. I dropped out in 12th grade when I'm about to graduate.
Yeah.
And it was hard. So, you know, I don't want that same mistake.
This is what it's going to take. You need, as a mom, you need to fight for your right. You need to fight for your voice. You need to demand answers. You need to talk to me whenever. Like, I can't sit here and tell you with 100% certainty that, like, there's not going to be a fight at your school. Like, kids are going to be kids. Will kids be held accountable? Yeah, we have a strict code of conduct policy. And I get everybody has gone through a lot of stuff during this pandemic. A lot of some people have lost friends, family. A lot of families have lost jobs. They're doubling up, living with their aunt. Like, we went through a lot of stuff, and there's been a lot of trauma. And like, our kids are just now getting used to, I think the honeymoon is over, right? Like, back to school. Like, now the honeymoon is over, and like, kids are starting to learning how to do school again and learning how to socialize. They've been isolated for a long time. I don't know about any of your kids specifically, but I know my kid, he's an only child. So there were times where he was in his room crying. And I would ask him, what's wrong? And he would say, I hate this. I hate remote learning. And I would cry with him because there's nothing I could do. You know, I don't have brothers and sisters for him. You know, he has cousins or whatever, but a lot of kids were isolated, and now they're getting together and they're just now learning how to act around each other. And we are experiencing elevated behavior issues, but we have increased behavior supports. We've increased the number of counselors that we have in our schools. We have Bright programs in our schools. We have a Bright program in all of our schools that have middle grades. So that's another support for kids that are having, emotional issues or a space where they need support. Can we guarantee 100% safety? I can't do that, but I can guarantee that, like, if something happens to your child, we're going to address it as long as we know about it and we work together on a solution. I can guarantee that as long as you continue to stay engaged like you are, you're going to get answers, right? Like, Lexi, I talked to you at the park the other day. I haven't heard from you until today again.
I'm on
Tomorrow
Facebook.
I better hear from you.
Go ahead tonight.
Tonight. But yeah, I love and appreciate that you got, this is what it takes. We need more of this. Like, look at how many families are missing here in Holyoke. We need more of this. We need more moms like you moms like all of you, dads, to be engaged and like let's work together. One of my core beliefs as a superintendent is that it takes a village. We can't do this alone. Families matter. You know, parents matter. Community partners matter. Friends, everybody. If we're gonna uplift our school system, it's gonna take the work of everybody. Our collaboration with the school committee. You know, our city council needs to step it up. Everybody needs to step it up. Everybody needs to play their role and do their part. Because our teachers can't do it alone. We do have that. So we're starting student councils. We need school councils. Oh, you signing up? Let me get. We were trying to get families to help because we had issues with how we were serving lunch, and we just needed more monitors because there were kids eating in classrooms. Teachers weren't even able to take their lunch breaks, and we had positions posted across all schools, and we couldn't get it. We were trying to pay families to do that as well. So I will, if you want to get involved with your school for sure, we can connect you. Just reach out to me and we'll do that. How about what would you like to see from me as your superintendent? I know that's a weird question, but it's really important to me as I move forward. Like, what do you want to see from me?
More of us, more regulars of us. I think this is really good.
Okay.
I think it's what everything's lacking. I think people need, average families need to get involved.
Do you think we should have teachers here also, maybe? A few teachers also here, so that would be like a go-between?
If that's possible, yeah.
Yeah. We have, every group that I've met with has said the same thing. I need to figure out a way to do that. We do have a parent advisory group for the entire district. If you're, we meet on a monthly basis. I'm not at every DPAC meeting, but if you're interested in being a part of DPAC, please, let me know. She said she was, but I haven't heard from her.
I'm just emailing you right now, so you have my email and number.
I'm just messing with you.
No es una pregunta, es una preocupación.
Okay.
Mi niña iba a la Sullivan desde kinder hasta cuarto grado y me mudé de área, me mudaron para la escuela Veritas. Desde que ella empezó a hablar, yo dije, ¿verdad? La maestra, la sustituta, ¿sabes? Son dos maestras por salón.
So, cuando tú te mudaste,
me la pusieron en Veritas.
Te la pusieron en Veritas.
Sullivan por la transportación, porque vivo ahora en la Plaza.
Okay.
Y yo vivía en Bowden Village. So, hacer el cambio, la nena supuestamente puede ser su escuela la que le toca. Pues como decía ella, la nena tenía una buena conducta.
¿Y tú trataste un zone appeal?
Sí.
¿Y te dijeron que no?
Me dijeron que no.
¿En qué grado está ella?
En quinto.
¿En quinto? Okay.
Ella siempre ha sido una niña excelente, desde pre-kinder hasta cuarto grado. Llegó a Verita y ella me dice que es una frustración, la maestra llora en el salón. La sustituta que está con la maestra abandonó el salón y pusieron a otra maestra que es también débil, porque es débil. Y yo digo, los maestros no deben demostrar su debilidad a los estudiantes. ¿Por qué? Porque es un revolú. La nena no aprende. Dice, mami, yo no puedo prestar atención a la maestra porque es un escándalo. Los nenes toman el control del salón. La maestra no tiene autoridad con esos niños. Y yo le dije, pues yo voy a tener que hablar con el departamento de escuela para que te vuelvan a poner Sullivan, porque si no yo no tuve problema. No tuve ningún problema con Mr. Sullivan, con ninguna maestra, con Miss Oneos, con ninguna de esas maestras. Desde kinder que ella estuvo ahí, hasta cuarto grado. No tuve ninguna queja. Mi nena siempre ha tenido buenas notas. Llegó a la Verita y es un revolú. Todos los días ella llega con un drama de que no aprende, no presta atención. Me dice, mami, los nenes no me dejan escuchar. Y si la ponen a ella en un grupo de 4,
¿y ahí, ella está en quinto ahora o ella está
en quinto?
Ella está en quinto.
Y la ponen en esa mesa y regañan a estos 3, ella también está en el grupo de los regañados. Ella también deja de coger el break del lunch, porque ese grupo lo regañaron. Ella no es parte de Rebull. O sea, es como que...
¿Y tú has hablado con los maestros ahí o
Pues,
has hablado con el principal o
yo más que
alguien?
la vi a ella en el open house, porque yo fui al open house de Verita.
Ajá.
Y la vi de vista, donde me presenté y todo. He tratado de hablar con ella, no tengo contacto con esa maestra. Ningún mensaje de texto. Mi nena estuvo enferma una semana Y hablé con la directora y con la enfermera, con esas dos personas nada más. Con la maestra yo no tuve contacto, no le mando trabajo. No sé, no tuvo como ese de esto de que cómo está Ireli, ella necesita ponerse al día. Ella llega a hacer 3 exámenes, después tuvo una semana fuera, hacer 3 exámenes corridos. Eso no está bien. Es una falta de comunicación, como decían todas ellas, una falta de comunicación entre los maestros y los padres para que uno esté al día de que, la nena estuvo una semana fuera, como le va a dar 3 exámenes así de cantazo, y si la nena es fea. Es culpa de la nena porque no estuvo en la escuela una semana, ella estuvo enferma. Y fue por lo del COVID, porque ella se puede contagiar con el COVID, como dijo ella. O sea, no sé si es que dejaron al niño que estaba contaminado o qué sé yo, pero porque de casa no salimos. Yo sigo teniendo mis restricciones y sigo teniendo mis cuidados con mis hijos. Yo pienso que fue de la escuela, ¿verdad? Quizás estoy equivocada, pero yo pienso que ella lo obtuvo diario.
¿Y qué tú quieres ver de mí como superintendente?
Como dijo, esto que está sucediendo.
Cosas así.
Cosas así,
Okay.
que escuchen nuestra voz y también ver el cambio. No solamente que estemos aquí hablando, dando nuestras opiniones y que todo siga igual. Queremos ver que nos cogieron nuestra opinión, que cogieron en serio este momento aquí, porque tenemos cosas que hacer y dejamos lo que estamos haciendo para estar aquí alzando nuestra voz como padres, porque yo no quiero ver a mi hija fallar, que se quede en 4º grado por muchos años, o se quede en 5º. No, eso no está bien, por culpa de una maestra que lo que coge es llorar para el salón.
¿Me puedes enviar un email a mí también? Anybody else? No, what she was saying, she had a kid in Sullivan all the way up until 4th grade, and everything was perfect. And she moved to Veritas. She had moved neighborhoods. They made her kid go to Veritas, and the communication there has just been terrible, and her experience has not been great at all. A lot of what you heard other Veritas families speak of. Anything else?
Was this still, I missed a few minutes. We still doing things we want from you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's got a black notebook for me.
No. This isn't really a huge thing, but I've always kind of asked for this, over the years. I would love the schools to be more committed to healthy kids physically.
Yeah.
Specifically like, exercise, what they eat. I feel like my kids have gone through this thing where they have health class, and then they have health class, but there's no exercise that day, and then they get fed Oreos, and it's it doesn't make sense. So, you know what I mean? It's
food is the biggest challenge. It's we're part of this national food service program, and the menu requirements are so strict.
Yeah.
You're competing with that, and then palatability. It's
Sure.
what students like.
Sure.
But that is something that we're going out to bid for a food service contract. This is the last year of a 5-year contract. So you're asking for more PE and better food, healthier food options?
I'm not really asking for better food options. I mean, I feel like a lot of the food wasn't menu food that they get. It's stuff that the teachers give them, stuff that's around the school, birthday party every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just there's all this sugar all the time.
Yeah.
And then there's not, and then it's oh, we didn't go outside today. Oh, we didn't go out, it's oh, we were outside, but we were loud, so we had to wait in line. And I'm not saying kids shouldn't be disciplined, but the amount of time outside is
not enough.
It's not enough, and it's a long school day.
Yeah. And
it's sort of I feel like if you want to have a longer day, you need to be more committed to a more balanced day. Also, so that's it. I think you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
On that same branch, I intentionally take my daughter to school late every day because the breakfast that gets handed out in the classroom is just all sugar, and I have a lot of concern for the students who rely upon that food because they're not getting nutrients. They're getting just carbs and sugar, and that's it. The first day of school, their breakfast was gummy snacks and a frosted what are those called? A Pop-Tart. And that was the breakfast. And that it's just not we can do better than that.
Yeah. Right.
I would say that I would like that more bodies are just putting put into rooms, and they don't know experience or even know what they're going into. And I think during COVID was the most that we had PD. It was the most time, and we were able to understand where our place was. But now there's just bodies being hired and put into rooms, and not the kids are the ones being affected because you are one person is leaving, another body is put in there, and the ones who are being backtracked are the kids.
Yeah.
They're starting. It's like a cycle. They're starting all over again and all over
Yeah.
again. And so
I would agree with you.
I
mean,
feel like more.
I would agree with you this year.
Yeah.
This year, where we normally would have 20 applicants or 7 applicants for a math teacher position, we have either 0 or 1. Like, it's a problem. Like, we talked about it at the school committee meeting the other day, but I also want to say that and this isn't, I'm not being dismissive, I'm not making excuses. This is a problem that's happening everywhere right now.
No,
we're experiencing it too. And we're doing everything that we can to like, I wish I had, when we post a math teacher, I wish we had 14 people to pick one, vet the candidates, and get the best one possible. The hiring season this year just was not like that.
No, and I get it. I just feel bad for the kids because I have seen teachers go to a point where instead of having teacher voice, they're having frustration voice, and the kids are being yelled at, insulted, and mistreated because the teacher feels already like, what did I get myself into? I don't want to do this, and now the kid is being affected. That's what I'm saying. Like, I understand the situation, and I understand there's really no choice. But I feel like
we're not just throwing anybody in there. There's, I don't want to. I will say,
like it. Sorry, it does.
In the
feel
past,
like
when we've had 7 candidates apply, 14, we may have 1 or 2. So like, it's harder to. I'm not just saying we're like picking people and just throwing them in there. That's not what's happening. We're hiring teachers that are licensed or putting teachers on waivers that have experience that we think would fit well. But I will say that the pool of candidates is a lot slimmer than it's ever been. I've been in education for over 15 years, and I've never seen anything like this, where the pool of candidates is just like real slim. Yeah.
But it's because the pandemic, people saw that they were making more money by themselves rather than going back to a job and having those people yell at them, having all these guidelines. You can't even have your phone on you in most jobs. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of these teachers saw that their worth wasn't as high as it was back then. Their worth is very little now. And it's sad that teachers literally don't see themselves as teachers. They see themselves better as doing something else rather than something that they love to do. And Holyoke lacks that. I never grew up with teachers quitting. I never grew up with me, like I said, wondering what teacher am I going to get. My teachers are always solid all the way until I reached high school. Yeah. We don't have that because, like I said, it's the pay. Teachers aren't getting paid enough no more, and they don't want to teach misbehaved kids to then go home and just be miserable.
Yeah.
And
what I've heard from teachers, sad. I've been in a lot of teacher focus groups. The biggest reason that I hear them leaving to other districts is the longer day. Some of them have expressed pay, but like most of them have expressed like, I could go to another district for the same amount of pay and work, get out at 2:30 every single day.
Is it just
in Holyoke? Yeah, as part of the
extended?
turnaround plan, there's more time in the day for PD. So some schools schedule it differently. So like some schools, they'll do 20 minutes a day in the morning. Some schools will be like a regular schedule all week, but on Tuesday you're staying an extra 2 hours and you're getting school-based PD there. What I've been hearing from a lot of the teachers is that 2 hours is a lot. Like, I have kids. I want to be a teacher where I just work a normal schedule like other communities do.
So 2:30 and then go home.
make
to
dinner
the-
for your kids.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
hang out.
And I'm not that's what I've been hearing from teachers. Not necessarily about pay, because the compensation for that longer day, we did increase compensation.
It is
But
long.
some people don't want that extra. They rather, the longer day is draining. We already have a longer day for kids, and then for teachers it's even longer because of that extra PD.
I just want to say thank you to everybody who was able to come out here tonight and really share what's going on in the schools, what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see improved. I really like the idea of doing this more often. I think that's really important for you, for us, but also with results and follow-up with whatever is talked about here. So obviously you're taking notes, and as you go through it, it's like coming back and saying, and this is what we did because I heard you talk about this. I heard about communication. I know I
There will be a report on the entry findings. So we're going to gather all of these input sessions and figure out what the themes are, and then I'll report to the school committee. These are the findings based on.
I want it for the parents.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be for the school.
No, and the community. It's not.
The community, because this is how we know what it is that they need, they want, right? What they want to see to improve the lives of their children, to improve the education of their children. So, like I said, I'm hearing communication. Much lack of communication. I know we've talked about it. I know they say that we can't always communicate everything, but technically you could. It's just the wording, So, as she said, maybe to notify the families if an allegation is put out there. You're not saying that it happened. It's just saying an allegation, just as if a student was. Remember the time when that student that was going through the Dingle area and was almost abducted, or she was touched? Parents were notified. That's an allegation. But why can't we do it when it's something that may have happened in the school? Because then families can talk with their children when they come home and be like, I heard that something may have happened in your school, honey. Is anything happening with you? I want you to feel okay to be able to talk to me. I don't want you to be scared to talk to me. Because that also builds the relationship between the parent and the child, and then the parent and the school. The other thing that I heard was about, I hate that word though, misbehaved children. I get it, they're going through a lot, right? But it also means we shouldn't be condoning and allowing the behavior to kind of pacify it. It's more so, you're here, you do this, that's not tolerated. Now let's find out what it is that's bothering you. So if we have to remove them, sit down and be like, I'm here to help you. If you don't want my help, let me know. We can find somebody that can. But it doesn't mean that it's okay for you to go hit that one, or the other one, or even back talk, throw things, whatever. Because that's not behavior that we're teaching at home to our own children. So why should it be allowed? If we don't allow it at home, the school shouldn't be allowing it either. Because we're saying it's social emotional learning. Social emotional learning has nothing to do with accepting of behavior. It's about teaching the child how to self-recognize a behavior and learn how to de-escalate themselves. That's social emotional learning. Veritas has seemed to be the hot topic. Very concerning, because that was supposed to be like a higher type of way of model of learning, supposedly. But so it's really concerning that we're losing a lot of people at Veritas, and that our students are
Veritas
suffering
even
from
goes
that.
a longer day than the rest of the district, which
Right, they had more
could be-
longer
could-
days,
yeah.
more other things. I've also heard from some other parents had to do with recess. I had one parent come to me over the weekend to discuss about recess. It's like it's blended in with the lunch period. So let's say they get 20 minutes. Now by the time they get from the classroom to the lunch line, that's probably 5 minutes. Now you're waiting 7 minutes in line. So that right there is 12 minutes. You better stuff your mouth really fast and eat that food within 4 minutes if you want at least 5 minutes outside. But we get 30-minute breaks as adults to be able to enjoy our meal. Some of us don't. I know I don't. I'm sure you don't. about them also having that time to engage with their peers. It should be like a whole child learning model. So those are things that we should also be looking at. But definitely, these meetings and Mr. Soto, Mr. Soto,
don't get all pretty proper on me now.
We'll do that over the
You were
phone.
cussing me out earlier last night.
So to me, this is valuable. You may not see it like that. Other superintendents, I know, but other superintendents might not see it like that. But what's most valuable is when a superintendent comes out and wants to keep hearing and is also coming back. It's just like at my job, when the administrator sits down with us, we give him feedback, then he comes back a month later, it's like, all right, what you gonna throw at me now, but let me give you an update as to what I've done. Because that's why a lot of families aren't here.
Yeah.
They've talked and talked.
I would encourage
and
all
things are the same.
families to join that DPAC. Like, we usually have the same 3 or 4 parents on there, and that's a vehicle for us, for parents to elevate their voice and to talk about issues that are going on, just like we are right now.
Right, but they want to see progress and action. So what happens is, when they keep seeing the same thing, they're like, why did I even bother? It's still the same. Because they're not feeling like it's being heard. Because things continue to happen. But if they continue to see and then you say, no, we did this. So maybe in that school, that parent will be like, yes, they did. Then those parents will be like, well, if they were able to do it there, then we need to push here. We need to also maybe look at principals even doing these types of sessions within their own school, where families can feel like they can go and talk to them. But I also encourage special ed packs. I also encourage English language learner packs. We need families there as well to really talk about those areas and improve those areas.
The one good thing about you doing this is you're the neutral. So going into like a school is a little harder because sometimes it's hard to call out the people.
Yeah.
That you're kind of accusing. So what you're doing is great. But I do agree you should do this more often.
Yeah.
And like not virtually, more in person.
We've had
with less mosquito.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think once people start seeing, like, you come back, you report out, and you ask more questions, they're gonna buy in, and you'll start seeing new faces and more families. But I'm glad you did this. You did an amazing job.
all right, well, thank you everybody for showing up. I appreciate you guys taking time. Let's do this more often.
I emailed you. You have my number now.
All right.